there's Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves and the rest of the lot sitting in their cabinet office, waiting for their orders to come through for the day from the WEF and the usury scammers, you see, and of course the real Prime Minister, who's the Chairman of the Bank of England. Anyway, they're sitting there and they're a bit bored, so Rachel Reeves is doing a crossword, a child's crossword, you see. And she said, this is a difficult one. She said, it's four across, and it begins with F, and it says, the clue is, old MacDonald had one. So they're sitting around, I think, oh dear, oh yeah, old MacDonald had one. And eventually, Keir Starmer pipes up and says, I know what it is, it's farm. Rachel Reeves says, oh yes, okay, how do you spell farm? And Keir Starmer says, oh, it's simple, it's E-I-E-I-O.
That's the behind the back bike shed one, isn't it? It's a bit of a childish one.
That's what you call a dad joke.
Yes, yes. Well, I'd like to thank Ted for sending some jokes in, but the one about Boris Johnson is so blue. I get banned on YouTube for saying it, and it really. And unless you mention the right words, it doesn't sort of hit the punchline. So, no. Ted, scientists are working round the clock to find a cleaner version of your gag about Boris Johnson. So, Fockham scientists are working hard at it. We're trying to. So you never know. You might have a breakthrough. You know, you could. You never know. On the BBC, they might say, "And here is a special announcement. The Fockham Hall Gag Library. We've managed to made a breakthrough, and Ted's joke about Boris Johnson has been cleaned up."
You never know.
But Ted, don't think I don't appreciate it. I like it, but I don't want a bit banned from YouTube.
Yeah, I like.
Now, tonight, our special guest, I haven't introduced you, have I? It's the Yorkshire Spook. It's Deb. Hello, Deb. Hey! And also, we're miserable sods on here, aren't we? And a big thank you goes out to Christine. Christine, thanks a bloody million. I got something through the post today. A lovely card and a lovely contribution. And, you know, I was a little tearful, but in a happy way.
You need a tissue.
I'm a bit of a softie. I was sitting there and I was looking at Dicky birds outside because I always feed them before breakfast. And now she sent sent me this card about with a little contribution several days back. And the post office have been saving up the bloody post because I've got this great sort of deluge of post through. Yes. So thanks, Christine. It's much appreciated. Now, by the way, does anybody know anything? Is it about ornithology? Because I had some stale bird fat balls, stuck them out, and the birds just looked at it and thought tight-fisted, didn't touch them.
They are a bit funny when they start going off. It's like, I'm touching that.
Yeah.
They do smell a bit weird.
Well, I suppose they got used to the pong of me, and the pigeons were sort of going, because they're a bit posh around our Mail Bay. The pigeons are called Felicity. Hey, Felicity.
I had the pigeons in a scoff then.
Oh, my ones didn't. So, and I put some lovely peanuts up and things like that. Hello, don't mention anything about buses. Whatever you do, it's Paul. Good evening, Paul. Yes, and by the way, I went for a walk today, and I saw
a bus.
A 251 bus. Whoa!
I hope you didn't have your hand in your pocket.
Well, it's a bit like a UFO when you see buses around where I am. Hey, look, there's those lights flying across. Where is it? It's a bus. Oh, it's Sue Sparkle. Hello, Sue. Hey, hello, Eric, Deb and all. It's a Stig. Morning, Stig. How's things? And we like to say hello to everybody out there in Wisconsin because we're actually broadcasting on Radio Windmiller And yes, we certainly are, as well as PukeTube. And we're also broadcasting on soapboxradio.net. So
We
we're
get
on
about.
there. We certainly get about, don't we?
We get about.
And hang on, I think it's still connecting. Are we connecting? We might not be. I don't know. Right. So let's have. We've been having a look. Who's in chat? Let's have. We've got Paul.
It's very
Who's
quiet
this?
tonight.
Who's this person? Here's a bit.
I
Who's
don't know.
some troll or something? I don't
Some
bloody
old
know.
tart you've dragged in.
I don't know. Somebody. Anyway. Well, we're being all creepy and spooky tonight. Things that go bump in the night and things that sort of put the willies up you. I mean that in a polite way, in the old-fashioned way. So I've shown this ghost plane, which apparently was seen over. Was it up north somewhere? Do you know about that?
Vaguely, yes.
And there's one in Kent that is often seen. It's a Dakota that crashes into the woods. I've said this loads of times before.
There's one in Sheffield, I think it is.
Really?
I'm sure there's one in Sheffield.
And, well, I saw one today. It was a bus. Yeah, I think it was. The ghost of one, because you don't see them around this area very often.
Just saw it trundling off in the distance.
I've just seen something in chat. Paul, shall I or shall you press the button? Because Deb can press the buttons now.
Yeah, I'll just pop that
there. Last night we were talking. I was talking about. I said about old televisions were made by the Rank organisation. I think Rank Xerox. I've seen a few back ends of buses. I used to be a good driver, and Hanorak, as he's called, or Paul, came out with a classic. He said, "Well, it's a bit of luck that what is it now? The name's gone. Jonathan Ross didn't mention it. Didn't work for that firm or something like that because he can't pronounce his R's. I worked for
Jonathan Wass.
Jonathan Wash. You were working for Rank Xerox. He wouldn't last very long, would he?
Very unfortunate.
Yes. But anyway, tonight we're going to talk about creepy things and things that go bump in the. So it's over to you, really, Deb. I'm was it? This is the old saying. I'm slipping the turd in your pocket.
You certainly are. No, actually, I'm going to bounce it back to you because you sent me a very. I haven't had a chance to read it, but you sent me a very interesting link to something to do with Telly Savalas.
Yes, Telly Savalas. Now, for those of you that are old enough, you'd remember Telly Savalas in Kojak. And for those of you that are not old enough, probably millennials, you think, I've never known a television called Savalas. But anyway, that's on with the story. Apparently, Telly Savalas, in 1959 this happened. And he'd just been to see his girlfriend. And he was driving home and he ran out of, as they say in America, gas. Or as we say, petrol. So
I never ran out of gas.
Yes. You can still get older Brussels sprouts, but they're bloody expensive this year, aren't they? Anyway, he gets. I'll try and be a bit American tonight, okay, for our listeners or viewers in Wisconsin. No, it's listeners because it's radio. Wisconsin, and he gets out with a cane and he's walking across this park. So it goes into some shop or something, and he says, "Excuse me, is there a gas station around here?" That doesn't sound much like Telly Savalas, does it? And he says, yeah, it's across the park, you see. So he's walking across the park, and he doesn't hear it, and a car comes up behind him. And he looks round, and the bloke opens the window. Yeah, would you like a lift? He speaks very high pitch like this, you see. And he said, oh, yes, please. I'm going to the local gas station. See, so he gets in his car. and he drives him to this gas station, and he hasn't got any money on him because in those days he didn't have much cash. So the bloke lends him $1. That was really a long time ago, to buy some gas. So he gets back in the car, and as he drives him back to his own car, he said, "Look, I'd like to, compensate you for this. I'd like to pay you back the money." He said, "Well, I'm on this number," and he gives him this number, and he gives it to him on a piece of paper. You see, so next day he phones up, and by the way, Stephen Treeseeker says, "Are you doing a ghost stories?" Well, I've started off. It's the Telly Savalas one, okay? And
ghosty things anyway.
Ghostly things that go bump in the night. You see, it's not your granny's false teeth falling out of a glass. So anyway, what happens? Yeah, okay, you're frozen. Oh, that's it. You're sort of.
No, it's all right. We've got the airport and the planes go over, but that was really high up. I was a bit.
But anyway, he gets this piece of paper. He phones up this number, and a woman answers, and he said, such and such a person gave me this number, and he did me a kindness last night. She said, "Get off the phone, you creep," and slammed the phone down. She said he died 18 months ago. So he sort of went. Anyway, eventually he got back to the woman, and he met the woman, and he said, the chap spoke, her husband, he said, "If it was your husband," spoke in a very high voice. She said, "No, he had a very deep voice. But how he was killed, he shot himself in the throat." And he said he never believed anything creepy before that actual situation. Now, you probably see I've sort of gone over it a bit. You can see it in detail. If you go onto YouTube and you put in Telly Savalas Ghost, you'll see it, and you can actually hear him. Well, he's dead now, but you can hear him from the spirit world telling everybody about it. And that is where a ghost will interact with a But I had a bit of a creepy one. I wouldn't say creepy. One yesterday. We were hoping to get a clairvoyant on the show, and you might want to come on, Deb.
Yeah.
I think it's up your street. And his name's Tony, and we got a house on fire. Very hard-working man, and he's quite big up north. Apparently, he goes around the shows and things like that, and he can actually tell by a person's voice. And I was speaking to him, and he's going to phone me this weekend, and we're going to arrange a time when he can come on a show. I think it's a YouTube one, personally, and I'm hoping to get a list of people that really would like to speak to him.
Yeah.
And he said to me, "Yeah, you've had a few sleepless nights, haven't you?" I said, "Yes." He said, "You've had trouble getting off to sleep." I said, "How do you know that?" And he said, "You've had acid indigestion." I said, "Yes." How the bloody hell did he know that? And I'm sitting there going, and the reason I know why I've got acid indigestion, because I bought some nuts that have got raisins in, and raisins give me acid indigestion. So I had some of them. And then he said, "There's somebody called James." Who do I know called James? When he came off the phone, that was my father's middle name.
Oh.
And he said, it was, but how did he know that I had difficulty getting off to sleep?
There you go. So you can obviously pick up from something in your voice.
That's right. But he did say something. Now, the other weird thing was that I was watching somebody on YouTube that had actually had an injury on their arm. And he said, "Have you got any problems with your arm?" Well, no, I haven't. It's still there. And I'm wondering whether he's picking up what I actually saw on the internet. Or my brain, it's gone into my subconscious.
Yeah.
And somehow it's strange, but he was bloody accurate. He was really good.
Yeah.
And, but, it was not, I know when a person cold reads, it wasn't cold reading.
No.
because there's no way he would have known that I had acid indigestion, and there's no way he'd have known that I had difficulty getting off to sleep, because normally I sleep like a top. I mean, I'm almost asleep before my head hits the pillow normally, but you know.
I wish I was.
Yeah. Well, do you know what I do to get myself off to sleep? If you get your head in belly,
Yeah.
you go down. That's me old trigger. That's me Viking thing. Wait. You've seen that one, haven't you?
Yeah.
It's going that way, yeah. Now, what happens if you just draw a line like that down to there, down to about there? There's like a little ridge there.
Yeah.
And you press into that. I can't find it. Press into that.
I better not do it now. I don't want to be dropping off.
And you sort of like that, you see. But normally, when people are in my company, they just fall off to sleep naturally. I don't quite know why, because I talk to them a lot about train spotting and things like that. Sorry, no, I don't do train spotting.
Something interesting has just popped up there. I did this. I covered this on one of my videos. The layover for the Northern Line tube trains near Mornington Crescent is apparently renowned for ghosts. Tube drivers have reported doors slamming between cars, but no one on the trains. I covered that in one of my videos, haunted stations.
That really?
Yes.
Quick plug. Now, please, we must plug your show. Now, where is it, and where you can tune into it?
Well,
Honk.
At the moment, I was doing them one a week, and it was just getting so that I had nothing. I wasn't doing anything else during the week but making videos. So I'm kind of doing them every 2-3 months. So the one that I've just done, which went out last night, was missing persons, unexplained missing persons in US national parks. And the next one I'm doing is disappearances of people in the UK. So I'm on with that now. I've just started this morning.
Can you make people disappear? I mean, that would be very good, wouldn't it? If you could make people disappear. I mean, I'd have a list of people that I'd like to disappear from me.
Yeah,
you know?
I've got they'd all be gone if I could manage to do that, Chris, but no, they're still lurking about.
Yeah, it's a shame,
I haven't
isn't it?
worked out my abracadabra yet.
No. What about my neighbour's dog that's madly in love with my leg? I mean,
Well,
my leg's having to go for rape counselling. I mean, it's so bad. You know, I mean, look at it. It's shaking as we're talking now. You know, it's not the same leg as I used to know.
Well, at least somebody loves you.
Oh yes, it's a dog's erotic moment, isn't it? Well, I've got the dog and I've got pigeons that love me, but they don't love me today because I put stale fat balls out. So, yes, because it said wild bird balls. I thought, well, they'd be bleeding living if they're.
Get balls in a bucket.
That's right. Because normally they look up at me and say, "What's this bleeding cheap Tesco shit that he's giving me, or pound shop shit that he's giving me?" You know?
Yeah.
Was it Bethnal
Green is one of the spookiest underground stations. It was used for an air raid shelter.
Ah, I can go one further on that one.
A lot of history in there.
Have you heard of the Bethnal Green disaster?
That rings a bell, but I couldn't. Right,
now, I know a little bit about this. What happened is that, it depends on how deeply I can go into the story. There's two stories in one, okay?
Right.
During World War II, now I'm not going off the beaten track, but I have to explain a little something before I explain what happened at Bethnal Green. Yeah. There was two types of anti-aircraft gun. There was ACAC, which sent a shell into the air, and the shell exploded in mid-air, sending shrapnel out, and that would get into bits of the aircraft, and that would be rather nasty. And then you had the naval guns, which sent a shell up that exploded on contact with the aeroplane.
Yes.
And it could only be done with radar. Now, the Navy used it because if the shell missed the aircraft, it would come down and hit the sea, and that would be harmless. Now, what happened is they had anti-aircraft guns around London, but people were screaming in terror because, you know, it was horrendous what was happening. So what they did, they put these naval guns around London, and there's still one on the Isle of Dogs now. I haven't seen it myself, but apparently you can still see it. It's obviously you can't fire it, but it's a kind of a museum piece.
Yeah.
But this is people don't realise this. what's actually happened is that more people got killed by our own guns than possibly by the Luftwaffe, because most of the shells, because they weren't radar guided, missed the planes and came down and hit people's property.
Yeah.
And they made an enormous noise when they went off. Now, one of these naval guns had been, they took the normal anti-aircraft guns away, and they put one of these naval guns, I believe, near the Bethnal Green tube.
Right.
And loads of people were going down the air raid sirens went a little bit late, so the people were rushing down the air raids because they used down the tube, because they used to take cover down the tube.
Right.
And people used to sleep down the tubes in London. My mother said it got on her nerves because you go down there and it really stunk pretty bad. You want to catch a train, and she said you go down there and there's people sort of, she said it really whiffed. It was really awful. And you imagine people a bit nervous, Anyway, what happened is loads and loads of people were going down, and suddenly this gun opened up, and people with the noise didn't know what's happening, so they turned and decided to come upwards. And there was such a surge of the crowd that children and women and men got trampled underfoot. And they actually, because they got trampled to death. And there's a plaque there, and it was absolutely unbelievable. It's horrendous what happened, because that's the surge of these crowds, and that was the Bethnal Green disaster.
Yeah, I think I did actually cover that in that video that I'm talking about haunted stations.
All right. And there's also, I don't know whether there's one at that Moorgate's haunted, because in 1974 or 5 there was the Moorgate disaster. I don't know if you've heard of that. And what happened is, it's still a mystery what happened. The driver had everything to live for. He withdrew some money out of his savings account to buy his daughter a car after his shift. And he was happily married with children. And when people saw him coming into the station, he was sort of, controlled. And the train speeded up, went straight into the sidings, and all the carriages just smashed up. And it took hours for the rescue teams, the fire brigade, to get through to the passengers at the front who had lost legs, who were mangled up in the... and they reckon it was a horrendous sight.
I can imagine.
And they've now got safety precautions now to stop people speeding up, but it speeded up, and it's still a mystery to this day why it speeded up. Yeah. Because they checked the brakes and everything was okay. It's the driver. And there's also a dead man's handle. That if a person has a heart attack, the brakes come on automatically. Because if you got to have your hand on this handle all the time. If it comes off,
as soon as it releases, it stops. Yeah.
And in Australia, they've got a train where they've got a buzzer. So the person has to press, because it's a dead straight track. Yeah. And he has to press this button so the brakes don't apply. So if the button goes off and he doesn't press the button, then the train comes to a stop. Yeah. But
there's got to be a lot of safety things on trains. Paul says the loco that was involved in the Great Train Robbery, number 40126, would often be refused by drivers because of its history, and drivers of this locomotive often reported ghostly goings-on in its cap.
Ooh, that is great. It's a bit like... Was it the Great Eastern or the Great Western? One of those ships was a voodoo ship, what they called, because when they went to dismantle it, it could have been, I don't know if it was the Eastern or the Western, it was one of the first ships to have like two holes, so there's like air pockets, so that if, say, the ship grazed its side like the Titanic did, it wouldn't sink.
Yeah.
And when they were uncutting it, they found a skeleton of a young boy down there.
I remember reading about that somewhere.
Yeah, and the poor kid fell down this gap, and nobody, because of all the noise of the bashing and crashing, didn't hear him, and he died down there. And
that's not nice, is it?
No.
There's a thing. I think there's a thing about ghost vehicles, because I think I've mentioned it before, but on a particular roundabout on the way into the outskirts of Bradford, about 3 times I've seen a brown car as I've come up to the roundabout to go straight on. I've seen a brown car coming round the roundabout, so I've waited, and when I've looked, it's not there. And it's not turned because I can still see, but in the second that I've kind of looked away and looked back, I would still see it if it had turned down at the side of me.
It's fascinating.
The car is brown. I couldn't tell you what make it is, but it's a brown car, and it's like the older type brown cars, like the 60s, 70s colour, not these shitty brown cars. Well, I mean,
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean?
Because cars of the 50s were generally black, weren't they? They didn't have any other colour but black. And then they got a bit colourful in the late 60s and 70s. So it's probably about that era. Because I think it was Hillman's. Was it Hillman's when it had brown colour? Isn't that weird?
I mean, this car, from what I can remember when I see it, this car's a pretty substantial sized car. It's not like a Mini or like you say a Hillman or anything. It's just kind of saloon type car.
Strange.
But that's about 3 times it's happened now. But it only happens when I'm on my own. I was with my husband the other week and we came up there and I said, this is the roundabout where that car appears. And it never does it when I'm with him. It never does it when I'm on it always does it when I'm on my own.
I think, as Tesla said, everything is to do with energy and things like that. And perhaps his energy is sort of changing your frequency slightly.
Possibly, yeah.
I don't mean in a rude sense, but you know, because when you're with a person, your frequency changes.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, I've actually noticed that if you lower your voice, people act differently. If you higher your voice, it's a sort of a strange thing about actors know a lot about it. Well, I once saw. I'm not praising him or anything like that, but I once saw this program about communication and how to do a speech, and they reckon the master of actually speeches was Adolf Hitler, because he had this way, and you saw him, and they timed it, and he was waiting to start a speech, and it was about a minute, and he just stood there going,
yeah.
And he said. And he saw it 30 seconds, 35 seconds, and he knew just the right time. He timed it just right. And then he'd start. And he'd start very quietly. So,
and then build up.
And then gradually build up. And apparently a lot of people, orators and that, they actually copy what he did because he was so good at it.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I'm not praising the man. I'm not anything like that. I'm not being political. I'm just saying that he was very good orator, and I think anybody would say that he was. Yes, he was a good orator, very, very good. And I think the worst orator must be Keir Starmer. He speaks like this, doesn't he? He sounds like as if he's just wet his trousers, you know.
If you have trouble sleeping, just listen to one of his speeches.
Oh bloody hell! I mean, he's a nasty. Oh, by the way, tell me what we haven't had tonight.
What?
The first person on the show gets a free raspberry and 2 fingers at a politician of their choice. It was Paul Green, wasn't it?
It was Paul. Yep.
So Paul Green, you can have a free 2 finger, or if he's American, 1 finger salute, and a raspberry of any politician of your choice or celebrity.
Or celebrity. Anybody.
Yes. Preferably a celebrity that has passed away, so we don't get nasty things from their from their solicitor, you know. But yes. So here we go. So anyone of your choice.
Yes.
Now, did I ever tell you the one? I think I probably did, about the Welsh motorbike. Well, a school teacher. When I was at school, she's ever so nice. I think her name was Mrs. Evans. Oh, it's Mrs. Evans, and she was Welsh, like. Oh, yes. I think she took a liking to me because you see, my surname is Welsh, you see.
Yes,
but the spelling is bloody English. I'm from the other side of the border, you see, the English side. But anyway, she, please to goodness, you know, and she said, no, I won't carry on with the Welsh accent.
Yes,
no, it's horrible. And she said, I'm not sure what is a relative of hers anyway. I'm not sure if it's a brother, cousin, or whatever. and he had a motorbike and used to go round the mountains like a bat out of hell, because he got so used to it, from work to home and back to work again. And he went, you know what it's like in, I think it's North Wales. Wow, it really is quite hairy. Anyway, he used to go round the mountains, and one night he was going along, and the handlebars of his motorbike kept turning. I think I probably told you this one, right?
I've heard it before.
And he was trying like anything to get it to right, and he just would not go forward. And he tried to, and it turned again, and he thought, "Oh, sod it!" And he had to go halfway round Mill's mother's, round the long way round, to get home. And the next day, he found there'd been a rock fall there, and he would have gone straight into it and killed himself.
Yep.
He had a guardian angel.
Most definitely.
Yes. That's Caroline's interesting.
Wait a minute, let me go back.
Hang on.
Paul says a clairvoyant also predicted the crash of an Immingham-based diesel loco, number 47216. They predicted it to crash into a passenger train. British Rail renumbered it to 47299, but it still had the crash. There you go. And Carolyn says, good evening, Carolyn.
Hello,
I saw
Carolyn.
I was driving my bus. It was late at night. No one on the bus except this guy with big black hollow eyes sitting down. When I re-looked in my mirror, he had gone.
And she also looked in a Morrow as well. Now, I've got a Morrow in my car as well. Isn't that interesting? Have you got a Morrow in your car? I mean, we've all got to have a Morrow.
I'll be going in my car tomorrow. I don't know whether it was an urban legend, but I once remember reading, when I was younger, I remember reading about somebody driving a bus and looking up, in the mirror that looks upstairs. Mm-hmm. The bus drivers have a mirror, don't they, to see what's upstairs.
That's right.
And there was a pair of red glowing eyes looking back at him. I would have been off that bus like a shot. There's no way I would have been on that bus.
Isn't that weird? Isn't that strange?
Yes, thank you, Stig.
And
right.
Share the stuff I've shared with you.
Stig's had a few strange occurrences. There was a rolling light in the garage, that rolled along like a wave, a rolling light. A bottle, a water bottle that rolled on its own, no breeze, no nothing. He came home from somewhere. He never carries cash. He only carries card. Doesn't carry cash at all. He's got no coins. And he came home from somewhere, took his shirt off with no pockets in, and a coin fell onto the bed out of his shirt. Still got the coin. He was away for a couple of days this last week, and his mum was at home on her own, and she said she heard the door unlock and somebody come in, and she thought it was Stig. And then she waited, and he never came in and said hello or anything. She thought he'd come back early from where he was. And she got up to go have a look, and there was nobody there. And then when she went back in the room to sit down, footsteps came down the hallway. So she actually said, come in and take a seat, which is actually probably what I would have said.
Weird.
But I said to Stig, if she didn't get like an off feeling about it, then that's probably what I would have done as well. It obviously didn't, for her to say that to it obviously didn't feel malevolent. So, but yeah, there's been quite a few. Stig will have to remind me if there's any more, but there's been quite a few instances.
Really? Because I know there was a terrible earthquake. I think it might have been in North Island in New Zealand, about 1920s, earlier than that. Stig might know more about it. And there was, I think, there was a theatre that came down, and there was a woman trapped in this theatre, and there was no way they can get her out, and they had to put her out of her misery. And that theatre is haunted by her. It's a terrible thing.
Yeah,
terrible.
It is.
Because I don't know the full details of it, but I've never heard of that before. But the bottle turned on its axis, left and right. These things, were they orbs? This round thing that was floating across. You do get orbs, don't you?
No, the way you described it was like a long strip of light that just rolled across the floor in the garage.
I mean,
Yeah, I've got that right, stick I up.
well, what about? I mean, I know that the Maoris. There's lots of things about Maoris' ancestors that are a bit creepy because the Maoris. There's a big hoo-ha about this, and I don't want to upset anybody, but apparently people say, oh, the Maoris were the originals of New Zealand. No, there was tribes before them. The Maoris came from Polynesia,
Yeah.
apparently. And they're not the originals of New Zealand. There was evidence of people before the Maoris. But they're very unusual, and they have...
You have a lot of, what do you call them, superstitions? I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm a little bit superstitious of certain things, but
magpies. That's the only thing now. It used to be ladders. It used to be all sorts of stuff, but it's just magpies now. And they.
Oh, there's loads of them in my bleeding garden, and they wouldn't eat the fat balls either. They sort of looked at me
because they were off. Chris, stop foisting your bloody. Off.
I know. But that was Stig says there's a huge debate about that, Chris.
Yeah.
Yes, it's odd. I mean, you know that they're up. I think is it York, where people often see Roman soldiers marching through a cellar.
Yeah, but they're knee high.
Knee high.
Yeah.
That's it. And apparently they're looking a bit rough, and they're supposed to be not Roman, Belgic, because it was as they were pulling out of Britain. But this idea that they reckon that a lot of them remained here because they were married and they actually remained in Britain. But there's loads of Roman remains around where I live. I suppose it's the same where you are.
Yeah, it is,
but yes, isn't that odd? But with ghostly side, do you think that some of these ghosts are our future looking back at us, or as who's that chap who had Michael Bentine said? Because I went to see a talk by Michael Bentine, and he reckons that buildings are like tape recorders, and if the conditions are right, it will play back. Because he's actually seen.
That's to do with vibration and energy as well, I think.
But what about when ghosts interact, like that one with Telly Savalas, with the living? That is when it gets really, and
there was a story. I can't even remember where I read that. There was a girl coming home from school. I think it was in the 50s. She was coming home from school anyway, and the heavens opened, and she was getting drenched, and she had a fair walk. Her parents didn't have a car, and I think they were both out working, and a car pulled up. And this, I can't remember whether it was a woman or a man. I've got a feeling it was a woman. Said to her, get in the car. I'll give you a lift home. So the girl was a bit hesitant. She said, you're going to get wet through. I'll give you a lift home. And it wasn't actually. It was a man. Anyway, she got in. He said, I promise that I'll drop you straight off home. Anyway, he did. And when she got to the gate and she turned around, the car had completely vanished. No noise, no nothing. She shut the door, thanked him, shut the door, got to the gate, turned around to wave, and it wasn't there. And there was nowhere it could have gone. And in the 50s, obviously, there were very few vehicles on the roads as there is compared to now. So,
But also, sometimes people see the future. As like that chap flying in an aircraft down from Scotland. And this was, I think, in the early 30s. Or it might have been in the 1920s. And he's flying along, and he's quite high up in the RAF. And he went through this strange sort of cloud formation. And when he looked down in the airfield, he saw mechanics working on very strange single-winged aircraft. And most of the aircraft, all the aircraft, were biplanes in those days.
Yep.
And they had blue uniforms. And he thought, that's weird, because at the time that he was, in the RAF, they had, I think it was brown uniforms.
Brown, yeah.
And then he went through this cloud again, and, And then it was only in a couple of years later that he realised that he'd actually seen the future, and what he was seeing was a lineup of Hurricane aircraft, and of course the RAF had blue uniforms then, and there was and the technicians were wearing blue uniforms, so he had a glimpse of the future.
Yeah.
So it's quite. But I mean, everybody's. I've repeated this loads of times, so I won't go on about it. But I actually met myself. Did I? I've told you about that one, haven't I?
Yeah, you have. Yeah, I think last time we were on, we talked about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that is something I don't think anybody else has ever met themselves.
No.
And it didn't freak me out. But what is I'm going to actually ask the clairvoyant when he comes on about that, because that is something that's really, well, and what got me, I remember clearly what he was wearing. And I later on, when I started work, I've actually got the shoes that he was wearing.
Yeah.
Without really thinking about it. And I've also got the rainmac that he was wearing. It's really weird, that is. But someone said it was my guardian angel that decided to look like me so it didn't frighten me.
I think, yeah.
But I always remember it, as he walked past, winked and said, "Don't worry." What was the words now? It was something like, it was very reassuring though, and he just sort of winked. He said, "It'll be okay. Everything's going to be okay." You know, it's absolutely amazing. But when you look at things that are not quite what they seem, I mean, do you get feelings when you go into buildings? Some places give you the creeps, and some places you don't.
Yeah, it's places. More like an area.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Building.
Yeah.
Because like I've said before about that horrible place down in Bradford, it's been cordoned off now with gates. I think the council have taken it over. But I actually found out, I posted on a forum, somebody had put on about spooky places that give you the creeps. And I mentioned this place, I didn't say where it was. I just said in a city, the next city from me. And I described the road being all cobbled and the walls being huge, great big. You couldn't see the top of the walls. And it got narrower and narrower as I went down it. I thought it was a shortcut through to somewhere. And obviously, I'll never, well, I can't now, but I would never go through there again. But I just described that, like I say, I didn't say where it was. And two people on the forum described it exactly and told me where it was and told me that it was actually called the Walls of Jericho. That was its nickname, this road.
Ooh.
But yeah, the feeling was, oh God, I can't. I've been to some spooky places, but I have never had a feeling like that. It was awful.
Bit like Shaw's Corner with me.
Yeah,
I went to Shaw's Corner, and George Bernard Shaw wasn't the nice person that we think he was. Far from it. And I just couldn't wait to get away from the place. There's something. Don't ask me what it was. I just had a funny feeling about it. You know, I don't know.
It's strange. Right, we've got a few in the chat. Just hang on a minute. Paul said, "We have 3 loo cubicles in the office, and a few times I've been in one of them and heard the hairdryer randomly start in one of the other cubicles, but no one there. It's a brave ghost going in after me." Nuki says, "My late uncle accepted a lift on a motorcycle. When he was dropped off, he turned to say thanks, and the bike and rider had disappeared. He described the rider to his girlfriend. She said it was her late father."
It's strange, isn't it?
Very strange. God, sorry, I'm just
That's all right.
There we go. Yeah. Hit the wrong ones there.
We've got Air Hammond said, "I left my bicycle outside Croydon Job Centre once, and when I came back, what happened? It gone? It disappeared?"
Somebody had bidden off on it.
But I tell you what,
I don't like that one, Stephen. When I was a teenager, I woke up in the middle of the night in a demonic house with no bedroom door, just walls. I don't think I'd like that.
I've actually been, I'll tell you something was terrifying. I've only had it once, where I was asleep, I was dreaming, and I knew I was dreaming, and I wanted to wake up, and I was straining like anything to wake up. Have you ever had that? Oh, it's frightening.
Yeah.
You're desperate to wake up,
I tell you what I have had, and it only happened about 2 weeks ago as well, and it was only like split seconds. As I'm starting to wake up, there's a smell and a presence. And the smell absolutely terrifies me. And the only thing I can think of is it's a chemical smell. It's not like a farmyard smell. It's not anything cooking
I know
or
what you
anything.
mean.
It's like a really strong chemical smell that I recognise really well and that I'm really, really scared of. And as I start to wake up, I start going, no, 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 no. And then it kind of goes away. But there's also a presence. I've not seen anything, but I can feel a presence around as well. And I've no idea what it is, but it petrifies the life out of me.
Well, I often smell my mum's perfume. That often comes up. And I also sense the presence of my dad sometimes. If I'm really down, I sense his presence.
Yeah.
You do sense these people around.
I'd love it if it was something like that, but something that absolutely terrifies you. And I've no idea why it terrifies me. It just does.
Yes. Oh, by the way, we haven't had our raspberry job, have we? And what did he ask for now?
Paul.
It was
Paul not nominated. Oh, Rachel Reeves, I think he nominated a bit further.
Rachel Reeves, yes. So Rachel Reeves, it's to Rachel Reeves. That's it. Or was it Rachel from accounts? That's what they call her because she's as thick as shit. I mean, she really is.
I'm quite embarrassed because she's something to do with Yorkshire, I think. But I do try and.
How disgusting, really! My word. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to be rather crude now, but Keir Starmer always looks as if he's just discovered that farts shouldn't be lumpy, sort of.
Yeah.
That sort of, oh dear, I think I've done something in my knickers, you know.
I really don't know where they dredged him up from.
Is this? I mean, what?
Can
you imagine? Can you imagine someone from outer space landing saying, "Take me to your leader, please.
Yeah, please take me back."
Sod that! I'm going home.
Makes me laugh when he says his father were a toolmaker. Yeah, we know. To be fair.
Oh, Aunt Sally described the dream that I had. It is second one up. There she is. Shall I shove it on?
Yeah, shove it on.
That dream you described, Chris, I think is called sleep paralysis. And if you call on the name of Jesus, you wake up. I'll remember that. I used to get those dreams when I was young, and they terrified me.
Yeah, you can get sleep paralysis.
That's right. And if you think there's something evil, someone told me you just mentioned Jesus' name, and there's a psalm that you can recount, and it's off. It's off like a dirty shirt, you know. But my attitude is, if there's any problems in a room, I'll put salt down in the corners. And that, if somebody gives me something like shoes or jacket, I'll put some salt in the pocket.
Yeah, it's a purifier.
Purify, yes. Hang on. We must do this. Rachel Reeves is the one who stole that bike from Ian Hammond outside the job centre.
That was surprised.
I never forget. I worked on this project, and there was a Dutch chap there, and he's a right bleeding laugh. And he said, Germans. He didn't like Germans for some unknown reason. And he said, my grandfather, the German army, stole his bicycle and they still haven't returned it. I said, when was that? He said, 1943. So he had this thing about the Germans because the German army stole his grandfather's bicycle in 1943 and never gave it back.
Right, hang on. Right. When I was really young, I went downstairs on the 25th of December and felt a presence. I thought that's what you were going to read out.
Actually, mate, that Jonathan Ross one, I was giggling about that all bleeding day because I don't know what it is, I get the giggles sometimes, and sometimes it can be quite embarrassing. I might be. I mean, I shouldn't laugh. But the other week, I did stop and someone did a slip with their they're walking along and there's a bit of slippery floor and they had a case and a sort of like a bag and it sort of went and it looked like a cartoon slip and I thought, I won't laugh, I will laugh. It is not funny. But they didn't hurt themselves, they didn't injure themselves, but I just thought it was what they call pratfall,
These rings a bell, DJ. A song came out in the late 70s about a guy picking up a ghost hitchhiker on his motorbike. It's called She Was Real by John English. It's on YouTube. John said it was a true story. That does ring a bell, actually. I'll have to check that out again. Thank you.
Well, there was a circus in America. I'm not sure what state, probably state of exhaustion, I don't know. But if there's anybody from America, please tell us. And it was a very famous one. What happened is all the people were on this train and it got derailed and it killed most of the circus troupe. And there was animals on board. It was horrendous, apparently. Some animals were injured, the people were killed, and it was just a terrible thing that happened. And they reckon in that area, they can still hear that crash now.
Yeah.
That was in the 1920s it happened. But I guess you've heard the one about the Dieppe raid that was heard 10 years after it happened. You heard that one?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I vaguely remember that as well, yeah.
And this is ghost battles, and it seems to be extreme trauma.
Yeah.
Now, Dieppe raid was a year before D-Day, which was D-Day was June the 6th, 1944, and Dieppe was 1943, I believe. And there's many Canadians, and they landed at Dieppe, and the BBC and all the propaganda said, "Oh, it's just a test run," all that. No, it wasn't. It was a complete disaster because the tanks got bogged down on the beach, nothing moved, and a lot of people were killed. And in 1953, that's 10 years after it happened, people in Dieppe were awoken by gunfire.
Yeah.
And it was waking everybody up, and it was exactly the same time as the Dieppe raid 10 years prior. But also from the English Civil War, there's people seeing ghosts of the English Civil War in, I think it's Oxfordshire.
Yeah.
And they can hear the cannons going off and everything. Because that was, apparently that was one of the most...
Gettysburg's the same.
Sorry?
Gettysburg's the same. There's a video on YouTube of ghost soldiers walking through the woods at Gettysburg. A couple filmed it.
Quite amazing, isn't it? Because again, it's extreme trauma.
Do you think it's just come to me now that, like, when there's like ghost planes having dogfights or whatever, or there's some sort of military replay of a ghostly military replay, do you think that maybe they're trying to get a different outcome?
It's a possibility. Because I think it's a time slip. My personal feeling is a sort of a time slip. Because I think that years past, we were, I don't know, Julius Caesar or whatever. Yeah. You were just in different time slips, because who's to say that we were born in England? When you think about it, if our grandparents or great-great-great-great-grandparents had made a decision to go to America or Australia, we might have been born in the middle of a sheep farm in Australia or something, or somewhere in America. And, I mean, look at Donald Trump. His mother was an illegal immigrant. She came from Scotland. He's half Scottish. So...
Oh, that's why he's drawn to St Andrews then.
That's it, yes. But fancy having a surname that's a slang word in Cockney language. For farting. I've just heard of Trump,
I think I would have changed my name.
Yes. Well, what about that downhill skier? I'm sorry, what was her name now? Funny Schmeller. Sorry.
It's not actually Schmeler. It's actually Schmeler, but yeah.
Sorry. Well, did I tell you that my smartphone, somebody advised me to get all the German names off of it? and now it's totally hands-free. Sorry.
He's here all week, folks.
And
Paul's got an interesting one. On a more serious note, do you feel that time stands still sometimes? Late last week, I woke up at 5:55 a.m., got back off to sleep for what seemed hours, but woke again, and it was only 6:10.
yes,
frequently.
I thought it was very, very late. And I thought, I've been laying here for ages. And I thought it's got to be, 8 o'clock? And it was just 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
But I wake up at 5. What is about 5 o'clock? I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's just your internal body clock, innit? It just sets. And the older you get, the less sleep you want. I mean, look at Margaret Thatcher. She only slept 4 hours a night. Well, I think I'm getting to that kind of thing. I can go to sleep at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning and be awake at 10 to 7.
Well, whatever happens, I wake up after 6 hours. I can't get back to sleep. I can only have 6 hours a night. That's it. It's weird.
But the other thing as well is, I was only saying this the other day. When I was a kid at school and the weekend came, the weekend seemed to last for 6 weeks. You had all that time from Friday finishing school to going back.
That's right.
Morning. It seemed to be like 6 weeks long. And you crammed everything in and you still managed to lay until dinner time and all this. And then in the 90s, we used to have all the time in the world. He'd be working all day. He'd come home. We'd have tea. We'd even have a bit of a kip. Then we'd get up, get ready, go out.
That's right.
Out. And it's but now
time.
Like 8 o'clock at night. All of a
sudden. I agree with you. Something has happened because I used to do a hell of a lot more in a day. I wake up early, and then suddenly it's 9 o'clock. Then it's 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And what's going on? And I thought, I'll spend an hour on the computer, and then, hang on, it's past lunchtime. What's going on?
I did that this morning.
Yeah.
I started cooking, and I thought, I was cooking, and I was planning my lunch. And when I looked at the clock, it was like 12:30. And I thought, where the hell did that go? I'm sure I started doing this at something like 11. It was odd. Very odd.
Very, very odd. But these things with time slips, I mean, Torna, when she was alive, she's departed this earth now, she actually had a time slip. This was a friend of mine, and she was at Hatfield. She was a gardener in Hatfield House. And she was walking along one day, and suddenly, I think it was, the season sort of suddenly changed. I think it was winter, and it was like a kind of late spring, early summer. And then she could see in the distance some people in 1920s outfits with an old gramophone, and she just turned and then walked back, and then suddenly it got cold again, and it was winter again. So she had a time slip.
Try living in Puturoa, time stands still.
Yes. By the way, that's right. By the way, what happened to that horse that was Prime Minister of? Some people say it's a woman. I don't know.
Got rid of her. Good advert all day.
Oh, bloody hell!
Or apples.
I mean, she was married. I mean, was it a paper bag job? You know. You know. Hang on, I'm just going to see my husband, but I put a paper bag over my head.
Pulled over it in case his falls off.
That's right.
Mine falls off.
Oh, by the way, we're an hour ahead this weekend, aren't we? And that's one thing I'm against, changing the clocks. Why can't we have summertime all year round?
Exactly. I don't see the point. We're not in wartime now. I don't see the point of changing the clocks.
I don't see. And this is the only thing I like about Europe. Why can't we be European time?
Yeah,
it's crap. All right, it doesn't get
all this twiddling about.
Well, you think of Big Ben, all these clocks all have to be altered. It costs thousands, millions, maybe. I don't know. Why? Yeah. Sorry, you what's it? The New Zealand Prime Minister is due to run at Aintree soon. Chris, that's a bit rough. Calling her Prime Minister, or Prime Monster, I suppose. Prime Minister. Yeah, Prime Monster. But how do we get these freaks of nature into high office? I don't know. But they're funny. Yeah. But they're dangerous.
Yeah. There's a lot going on.
Let's talk about Keir Starmer threatening Russia. We could just about get one unit together. I think Russia's got 150. Numerically, it's like an ant trying to attack an elephant, isn't it? Really, I mean,
Yeah. I'll put that back on that I forgot. Bullseye and Ski Sunday. I remember those days.
Yes.
Brookside omnibus on a Saturday.
Yeah, that's it. Yes. But the strange thing is how time changes, and you don't notice it changing, and you always notice it with cars, because the cars change, don't they? But not all that much. I don't vote. It does, doesn't it? It gives them ideas.
Yeah,
that's the big problem.
Now.
Yes. So I lose an hour of my life somewhere between 12 a.m. and 2 a.m. on Saturday night.
Just a Saturday night.
Yes. Oh, by the way, we must wish everybody, ready for it?
All
Happy New Year. Because officially the 1st of April used to be New Year's Day. And that's where April Fool comes from, because I think it was was it the Gregorian calendar they changed it to? And because to me it's more logical to have it on the 1st of April, because that's when spring.
But we're only on the 24th of March, Chris.
Yes, but is it?
We've got to the 1st of April. Yeah, don't wish it away for God's sake.
No. That's it. You're quite right. But that's where you got April Fool from, apparently. Yeah. So there we go. You know.
Where I've just got that bit of sticker from. Sorry, I've just pulled a bit of sticker off my hand. I don't know where that came from. Bizarre.
It's funny. It's a bit like, tell you what I don't like. You know this sticky that plastic that some plastic it sticks to your hand. It's static. You can't get the bloody thing off. You know.
That's happening a lot lately with everything. I thought I was full of static. It must not just be me then.
I had a car. It's a Nissan Sunny, and the amount of times I've got static shock from that bloody car. It's a nice car, but it's just when I used to get into it.
I got it off my Mondeo the other day. I went to shut the door, and I'm like, hellfire. Yeah,
strange,
isn't
it?
Get it on shopping trolleys.
Because they used to have
earthing cables.
Well, they used to have earthing cables at the back of cars, didn't they? Used to drag along the road. You know. Yeah, it's funny. But that particular car, I don't know what it was. Yeah.
Stig's a mechanic. Where did they go, Stig? Why have we not got earthing cables on the back of cars anymore? You'll be able to answer that.
Now, in New Zealand, I think they drive on the correct side of the road. They drive on the left like us, don't they?
Yes.
Yes. Japan does, and so does Australia.
I think Indonesia and Singapore and all those kind of places do as
well. Most of Africa does.
Yep.
India does as well.
Yes.
Well, I think they drive anywhere. I don't think it matters where it's left or right. They just sort of drive along the road. Oh, lovely. Oh, look. They have cows wandering around on the motorways, and people just sort of go for a walk, don't they? Because there's a saying in India, it's not when they punish their children, it's not wait until daddy comes home, it's if daddy comes home.
Yeah.
Because the roads are so bad.
I know, it's shocking. And when they go around the little mountain passes in the bloody lorries with everybody crammed on top, the buses.
Health and safety doesn't mean anything, does it? Really?
No. It's just if there's a space you can get on it, you get on it.
Yeah. Yes. No. Now, when's Easter? Stephen Trueseeker says. It's 2 weeks' time. Yeah.
Is it?
My favourite time of the year is springtime. I love it. I love spring. And my worst time of the year is winter. I hate it.
Parts of winter I don't mind. I don't mind snow if I don't have to go out.
No, I don't do snow, no, because I don't want to slip arse over tit.
I'm not going out, it's fine.
No.
It's all it wants.
But, I mean, I was going to go out on my bike today. Went up to the bike shed. No, it's still a bit cold, so I decided not to.
Regarding cars, do you notice that a few new models come out and then all of a sudden the older cars become very scarce and non-existent? Do that many cars really go for scrap, or do they just vanish? Oh, that's a point, Stephen.
Well, under ULEZ, apparently it's something I can't accuse, but allegedly, shall we say, cars that went for scrappage didn't scrap, and they ended up in Eastern Europe. People are looking on YouTube and saying, "Hang on, that's my old Jeep or whatever." Well, the bloody yeah. But have you heard about ULEZ? Oh, I'm so pleased. What's happened is someone's won a case in court because it doesn't tell you what the charge is. The signs are illegal. So if you've been done under ULEZ, you can. It's only a certain part of London, though, not the whole outer ring.
It just says
You can claim your money back. But
Right.
yes, isn't it terrible? These people cutting the cameras down.
There we go, 20th of April. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
We had a camera down here on the main road,
really.
and it's gone. I don't think anybody's cut it down. I just think they've removed it.
That's what I like to see, it being removed. Yes.
Yeah.
But
Aunt Sally says, I think static shock, I believe static shocks are caused by the shoes you wear. Well, I've always got rubber soles on.
strange because I wear barefoot shoes now, which is if you've heard of them,
Yeah.
and they're bloody good.
Do you not feel
they're
everything through the bottom of them, though?
No, you don't feel it, and you don't have to watch where you're walking. It's reasonable thickness, but they're so light you don't notice they're on. And when you go back to sort of shoes or boots, they feel like ton weights on your feet because you're not used to it. Yeah,
That's it. I've got some of those Skechers. They're not actually the ones that they advertise on telly. There's like slip-ins or whatever. These are something else. But I got them at Costco because they were like 23 quid a pair, whereas the other ones are like 90 odd.
Yeah.
So I got a pair and they are really, really light. You just shove your feet in them and you're off. They're really, really light. But
I know what you mean.
If I've put my boots on after that, oh my God, yeah, it feels like I've got concrete feet.
I know. I tell you, I don't get any money for this or anything like that. But I go to a place, there's a shoe shop called Shoe Zone.
Yes.
And their slippers.
Right, so I call it.
Shit. Well, I've never had slippers last so long. I mean, I go through slippers pretty heavy. These slippers are about 6 years old, and they're still going strong, and they still sell the same. And I'm going to have to buy another pair, but they're certainly okay.
Yeah.
Incredible. I don't know what it is.
I don't know why I call it Shite Zone because I get all my slippers from there as well.
Do you find they last longer than ordinary slippers? They're bloody good, aren't they?
Yeah, good.
Yeah. But
I think Sting must have disappeared because he's not answered my mechanic question, and I've forgotten what else.
yes.
Yeah.
So
I shall
mechanic,
let you know.
because I know that New Zealand used to have cars that were years old because they were so expensive. But I think they got a lot cheaper in recent years. But I know that in the 90s, they had cars going back to the 60s and 50s and before that. Because being an island on its own, I mean, it's a long way from anywhere.
There he is. Right. Did you hear my question, Stig? If you did, nod.
Well, it's a long way to New Zealand, isn't it? There's a sort of a...
Time delay.
It's got to bounce off America first, isn't it? Boing,
Then China.
Because you think of it, you're going into was it autumn now? We're going into our spring. Isn't that weird? Back to front. But I think, is he stick on, what was the question? That's what he's saying.
The question was, why do cars no longer have rubber grounding strips on the back of them anymore? Because they used to get them in like the 70s and 80s,
That's right.
60s, 70s, 80s, and now they don't have them. So what have they done to them to not need them anymore?
And also, is Stig on North Island or South Island?
North.
That's a semi-tropical, because I don't think you have very hard... I think South Island has terrible winters, but I don't think North Island is so much.
Yeah, because they've got the Alps down on the South Island.
That's right. I think South Island is a bit more like the south of France. Sorry, North Island is a bit like the south of France. I might be wrong. Stig lives there.
Very humid.
Bit like, well, all islands are humid. We're humid here. Well, do you know when they've...
Plastered to the head constantly in summer.
Well, you know when they filmed, I think it's Platoon, they filmed it in Docklands in London.
Yeah,
they filmed it in the summer, and and the people that were there, the advisors, said that the humidity was almost the same as Vietnam during the Vietnam War. And the actors who were sweating, they did the makeup, said they didn't have to do it. They were actually perspiring heavily because it was so humid. And but I think it was a Kubrick film, wasn't it? Fantastic film.
It was, yeah.
Incredible.
Very good film, actually.
That's right. Apart from the power cables that they got wrong. Because you see, it's supposed to be Vietnam.
Yeah.
I said this last night, And they apparently went round all the Chinese restaurants trying to get extras to look Orient, and adverts. If you look Oriental, so they had someone that was a waiter that was walking along, and in the background you can see Essex pylons going.
There's something else on there as well, wasn't there, that you've been able to see? I can't remember what that was.
There's little things, little errors. It's a bit like The Wrong Box. You know the film The Wrong Box, Peter Cook and Dudley Moore. It's supposed to be in the Victorian times, and they come out of a house and there's all television aerials above the house.
It's like, who is it? It's Spartacus with his wristwatch in it, or a plane going from one or the other.
That was it, and I think it was in Henry V. Was it one that you saw a bus top of a bus going along in the background? You know?
I tell you what is creepy though. Is it Three Men and a Baby? The ghost kid behind the curtain.
Really?
Everybody reckons it isn't. It's the shadow, but that is a bloody kid. If you look at that, when they come into the living room, there's like a net curtain, and then the curtains, and there's like a ghost child stood behind the net curtain bit. And there was nobody.
Really?
It's really creepy looking.
Tell you what I often hear. You know when your bones click a bit, you might go downstairs to get a click. I often hear, I'm laying in bed at night and I hear this click. And it's not me. It sounds like somebody else. It's a bit weird, a bit creepy.
That is quite creepy. And I watched on, I can't remember what channel it was. Was it Discovery Plus? I was telling Stig about this the other day.
Yeah.
It's a programme that started called The Yorkshire Exorcist. And it was actually, this first episode was done in Otley, which is sort of 7-8 miles away from me.
Yeah.
And this bloke had like something attached to him, a possession or whatever. And that was the noise that he kept hearing. And it actually came over the camera when they put cameras up to film what was going on while he was on his own. And it was like a click when this thing was approaching him. You couldn't see what was there, but it was a click. That's just reminded me of that. Yeah,
it's weird. But there's lots. I mean, do people ever get possessed items? I mean, there was a lot of superstitions about pocket watches and things like
dolls
that.
And watches and rings and
dolls and things. Now, I'm going to kid everybody here. You see, now that is an old pocket watch.
It is. Well, it's a pocket watch. Yes.
Yes. You see the back of it? 1936 Berlin Olympics.
Oh, no, this way. Where did we get that from?
Well, I let people guess, you see. This is solid brass. 1936 Olympics.
Let's look at the front again.
And let's have a look at it. There we are. There it is.
Have you been in those magazines on a Sunday?
And I've kicked quite a few people on this. I've told them the truth afterwards. And it looks very real, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
It's a fake.
Looks very
But it's
light.
a very good fake. It costs a lot of money. It costs £5 something from India. And I got it off eBay from India. And do you know the reason how you can tell it's a fake? Because the eagle at the back has not got a swastika on it. It's a star.
Right.
But everything else is authentic. It really is authentic. It looks authentic, and it is actual brass. This is the actual thing itself. But the thing is, and also
looks really light.
And the other one is quartz. So, no sort of proper workings, but it's bloody accurate, and it's really, and you get them from India off eBay, and about £5. So if you're in America, about $7, something like that, $8, not all that, So
Sticks answered the question. Sorry, we're rocking back and forth. Right. Back to your question B. Modern cars are so well insulated and grounded, the whole car then becomes the earth. He's excited about the watch. He likes his watches.
Well, go onto eBay, mate, and it should might be a bit cheaper, and you get them off eBay like this. And actually, pocket watches are coming back. I've got this thing about pocket watches. And I do like pocket watches, although I also like wristwatches as well. And but there's something I've noticed. If I wear a suit and a waistcoat, people treat you differently.
Really?
I'm not being snobby. Yeah, they really do treat you differently. I've noticed that a lot. And for example, you know, if you're waiting in the post office or something, you just get your pocket watch out and go, "Yes, sir, can I help you?" No,
That's
seriously.
interesting.
Yes. So it's surprising how you dress, how people treat you different way.
Yeah.
I mean, have you noticed that? I mean, now, hang on, as Nathan, I've been
I
watching.
didn't see that before. Sorry, Nathan. I've not been up to scratch with my keeping up with the chat there.
Yes. And by the way, I think we got an extra person on this Sunday, haven't we, Deb?
I think
Plug,
we
plug,
may
plug.
have.
Yes, Nathan.
Yes.
So you may have somebody backing you. That's all I'm going to say.
Yes. Me and you are of the same view, Nathan.
Yes. So there we go. Thanks, mate. I'm glad you like your pocket watch. No, because and now we got it. Was it answer? I know for a fact that if you're well dressed, doctors are far better disposed towards you. That's right. I mean, when I go and see Miles, if I wear me suit, you know, when he shoves a needle in me, it feels better because he's an acupuncturist. You know,
when you wear your jogging bottoms and a t-shirt, it gives you your tea in a mug, and when you wear a suit, you get a cup and saucer.
That's right. Yes, that's it. But I'll tell you one attire I used to have, and that is a kind of office snobbery. Now, permanent people wore a suit, whereas a contract guy would actually have, or contract chap would have a nice jacket, shirt, tie, Levi's.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason why you wore Levi's and cowboy boots as well, because they're always saying they're bloody cowboys, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Because contract bloke bleeding cowboys, is when reps came into the office, they used to look under the drawer, they looked down like this. And when they saw Levi's, they thought, freelance, and you would be taken out and treated up because they always wanted to make friends with the contract blokes, because you would probably do about 3 projects in a year, or you probably do more projects in a year than most of these permanent people did in a lifetime. So they wanted to get in with it. And these permanent people say, "Oh, bastards," you know, they hated you even more. So now, what's this now? Yes, it's true. Sorry, Chucky said.
Stephen's just said, strange that, because I only just seen that ghost 3 men and a baby pop up on my feed about 2 hours ago. That's spooky.
There's strange links, isn't there, like that? Have you seen those photos that was taken after the First World War? And it was I think it was the crew of a ship.
Yes.
And a chap had died about some time before, and he was there amongst the people.
Yeah. I just thought about something else when you said that as well. Oh, that I think that's about 1940s, 50s. There's a woman holding a kid at a dining table. They sat down, she's got the kid on her knee, and there's somebody hanging upside down at the side of her from the ceiling.
Oh,
Have you not seen that? Have you not seen that picture?
I haven't seen that one. But the Victorians, they did a lot of fake photography when they first, you know, like of spiritualists and things like that, which was a shame. But there's a lot of genuine ones as well.
There's all the ectoplasm, weren't there? And they recreated that and made it look like it was something. And I think that didn't do spiritualism a great deal of good, really, back then.
Well, I think what it was is it was the powers that be trying to condemn spiritualism. That's what they've always been trying to do. Because when you meet true spiritualists, worlds apart. I mean, I've actually had healing done on me.
Yeah, me too, yeah.
And did you feel like an electric, like a buzzing feeling? It's most strange.
No, it was like waves of, I don't know what you'd call it, really.
Energy.
And yeah, sort of like waves of energy going through you.
But
a little bit typically.
I'll tell you something. You see, it's not that people think, it's for physical things. No, with me, I was depressed and things like that, and
Yeah.
it's surprising, it worked.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I got more depressed. No, I got less
I
depressed.
don't even, to be honest, I've heard of people having spiritual healing that don't even necessarily believe in it, yet they still say that it works. So I don't even think it's anything to do with belief.
Well, I'd like to be. I think there are doctors and there's healers, and they're worlds apart.
Yeah, I agree.
Because years ago, I mean, you look at Aborigines. Now, did you know that the didgeridoo was a healing stick?
Yeah. I used to have a didgeridoo, a genuine one.
Could you play it? You have to.
No, I had a little blow of it, and I couldn't.
Well, all the Australians I worked with, and I've never worked in Australia, but they used to come over here, on their European tour, like, you know what I mean? And it sounds very good. It's like a Scotsman, doesn't it, that sounds? And he says, and they could all, with the drawing tubes, they could all play it like the didgeridoo. Seriously, all of them.
Strange.
But yes, what a wasted childhood they had. Yeah.
I got given that in primary school by our music teacher for some reason. And
Really?
then our neighbours were moving to Australia, and we kind of gifted it to them.
Really?
It was a great big thing, and it was all really. I wish I'd have kept it. Really, it was all really intricately carved, and my mother just probably was sick of it kicking around the house. Give it to the neighbours to take to Australia with them.
Because I think the termites actually eat out the inside, don't they? Something like that.
I don't know about the origins of them.
Yeah.
Just think. I do like the noise, the sound that they make.
Oh, it's just beautiful. But apparently it's a bit of an insult because I think it was Madonna went to Australia and carried a didgeridoo with her, and she apologised. She didn't. She did. She said, "I really didn't know," but it's only men that play the didgeridoo in the tribes, not the women.
All right.
And it's because they were the sort of like the healers,
Shaman type.
shaman. But I saw something fantastic once where it was a gliding show about gliding, and they do a lot of it in Australia because the thermals are really good in Australia. And this bloke wanted to do some form of gliding, and the weather wasn't right. And the weather forecast said, no, it's not going to be right for the next couple of weeks. And this Aborigine woman did these really strange, people are laughing, they just go, whoa, and all this sort of stuff. Next day, the weather was perfect for this gliding.
There you go.
Changed the weather.
Yeah.
I believe in all that. I really do. I think that we've lost the art of healing,
Somebody's seen the picture that I'm talking about. I'd say 1950s. I think it was about 1950s, going by what she was wearing and the kid was wearing. But yeah, he's hanging down. It's you can tell it's a man, but it's not a clear. It's more like a smudge kind of, but you can tell it's a man hanging upside down with his arms dangling.
Also, because I had like a massage from a ghost once.
Did you? Mm-hmm. I won't ask where.
Well, I worked in a place that was an old manor house, and I probably said, this is where I saw the ghost as well. And I'm bored, so it's time to make a cup of tea if you heard it before. Put the kettle on, and no sugar for me. Milk, no sugar for me. And I think, oh, bloody hell. Or if you've got trouble getting off to sleep, you can listen to the story, see. Two things happened at this place. It had really good vibes, this place. And short history, it was, it's Northall House, actually. Now it's been converted into flats, which is very, very sad. But it was in grounds, and in the Edwardian times, it was a children's hospital. And then in the First World War, it was a convalescence place for the soldiers who got injured or wounded. And then I don't quite know what happened between the wars and during the war or that, but I know that it fell into disrepair. And in 1971, some London architects bought it for very, very cheap, £80,000, which was a lot of money in those days.
Yeah.
And they did it up into offices. And when you first worked there, you're just gazing out the window most of the time. You tried to stop it because it's so gorgeous. And you walked through an old Victorian orchard to go to the office. One of the best places I've ever worked. It was a fantastic place. It really was. And I was freelance there, actually, contract there several times. They asked me back, and I got on very well with them. And we was working on this project, which was a very, very demanding project, lot of work, very intricate, work on it. So it's very, very stressful, and I was really stressed out. I'm generally, I was, or still am, a very nervous sort of person. And you'd be working long hours trying to solve different problems with it. And at the bottom of the corridor, they had like a tea room, and either side was the lavatories, which is not exactly the best hygiene, but anyway. And I went into the loo, and suddenly I felt a presence. Strange. And I just felt something pressing into my shoulder blades, and I thought, it's bloody weird. And then when I came out the loo, I thought I'd make a cup of tea, and I'm standing there waiting for the kettle to boil. Correction, the water in the kettle to boil, not the kettle, the kettle doesn't boil.
No.
I actually felt this presence. And when I came back to the office, they actually remarked on it. I said, bloody hell, it's come over you. You're really sort of spaced out. You're really relaxed. So I told them.
It's nine coke in the box.
Well, perhaps it was a nurse from the Edwardian times or whenever.
Possibly.
But that was really, really, and I was really, and I sort of looked at there, and you sort of, I can't remember what it was. I think it's a spiral staircase I had to work at, and oh bloody hell, sort of, your brain's going, blah, 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 you're trying to draw it out.
It was chilling you out.
I was trying to sort of design it, and it was really, and I say, crumbs, I've never seen you looking so relaxed. Sort of.
Yeah.
And there was like that few dirty jokes came out, but it was really, I was sort of, I floated back to the office away. I was really away, almost away with the fairies, as I say. And then another time, I was working late, and you had a central corridor, and you had all the offices off there, and I was on my own. The old, and I think that you had to be bulb lamp on, and I think it was dark all the way round. I can't remember. But I saw this little Edwardian child in the corner of my eye. And he used the breeches, the proper sort of the hat and everything.
Dress.
And I sort of went, hello, in a sort of soft voice, hello. And I thought it was one of the architects. I thought it was one of his kids as a fancy dress. And then suddenly just disappeared.
Yeah.
So I smiled, went. I thought. So I told the caretaker. He said, oh, yeah. He said, I often see him. He says, he's just inquisitive. He said, and then when you say anything to him, he just disappears.
Disappears.
Isn't that weird, isn't it? So it's probably one of the... Yeah.
I think the worst thing I've had was where I used to work. When I worked in mental health, we had to do sleepovers. Mm-hmm. And the sleeping room had the weirdest vibe. It was... I kept having to do blessings in it to kind of... Oh, I've gone dim. I need to plug my...
oh, blimey, go...
I don't need to be cut off.
That's all right. Always, no, don't worry. You always have to be plugged in. You're all right now.
We're back. I've plugged you in. Yeah. I used to do blessings in the room every so often to clear the energy because it was really oppressive. 2 members of staff refused to do sleep-ins. They do all the other shifts, but they refused to do sleep-ins. And one night I'd gone to bed, and it was just like you went in and there was the bathroom, and then there was what was the kitchen, but we used it as a meds room. And then you went into the bedroom and there was a double door closet, I suppose you'd call it. It was more shelves. There was no hanging space. And then like a single bed, a table, your clock and lamp, telly. Anyway, I'd gone to bed and I'd only just put the light out and turned over, and something really hard grabbed my ankle. And I kicked and I put the light back on, nothing there. And I stayed awake all night. I couldn't go back to sleep. But I've had it. I also in there, I looked at the clock one night. I thought, oh, I need a wee. I looked at the clock and I thought, 3:minutes. Just went to get out of bed and something landed on me and pinned me to the bed. And I was face down and I didn't know what to do. And I'm looking at the clock and the clock's going 3:01, 3:02, 3:03. And eventually I kind of brought my elbows back and lifted myself up off the bed and it disappeared.
I've had something similar, but it's always at 3 o'clock in the morning. What is it about 3 o'clock? There's something about that time.
Witching hour.
And I had something sit on my legs one night.
Yeah, I've had that.
And then I heard a chicken noise. And it went.
It's a bit weird.
Yeah, but I could only hear it in my head. But recording, you wouldn't have heard it. Wouldn't have recorded. See my, what's it? Sorry, after you, Deb.
No, I was just going to say, Stig's saying, I'd say my dad once, that was a sad and happy moment.
Oh, yes. James Cole says witching hour. Witching hour, yes.
Tis.
But, well, in Waltham Abbey, there is a shop called White Witch. And I was talking to the lady there, and she said she often gets people throwing holy water in there and keeping away from it. But the thing is, there is two types. There's the black and the white.
Yeah, but
and the White Witch with the healers. Sorry?
There isn't actually.
Isn't there?
No, it's just being a witch. People either choose to do light work or they choose to go to the dark side. So there isn't a black or white witch. It's just you're a witch, but you choose which path you're going. Well, I don't particularly like the dark.
I don't meddle.
No.
Yes, but
Stephen says it sounds like a black magic attack. I don't know, but there's been a few instances. I stopped at my friend's one weekend a couple of years ago, and again woke up to go to the loo. And as I went to sit up in bed, I mean, it's in the countryside, so it's quite dark. And something started crawling up the bed, but up my legs. And it got to just past my knees, and I thought, I'm not having any of that. And I kicked whatever it was, and it disappeared. And I went to the loo and came back and went back to sleep. It was just like, no, not having any of that. I'm not having any of that. I just got visions of this thing.
A randy ghost?
Yeah. I just got visions of this thing, whatever it was, going back and going, she kicked me in the chest.
Yeah, imagine. Well, did I tell you I went into White Witch and I said to the lady there, I said, look, I want to join I'm thinking of joining a coven of male witches. And she said, warlocks. I said, no, it's true. Sorry, it's a terrible one. I've been in there because I went in there to buy some, what's that black crystal, which is supposed to clean water. No, it's not Australia. It's another one. It's from Russia. Shungite, that's the one. And I went in there because what I want to do, see, between you and I, you can make your own Berkey water filter from flower pots. Seriously. Wow. So what you do, you get around, you get something like a glass container or anything like that, or some people use litter bins, anything that's, say, stainless steel, which you can drink out of. Put a tap at the bottom of it, put a flower pot in the top, and then the way you plug the hole with a flower pot, which I planned, is to put shungite in there and put beeswax around it to stop.
Yeah, seal it in.
The hole up, and you pour the water in, and make sure the flower pots are Italian, because if they're from out of Mongolia or somewhere, they might have lead in them. But Italian, is okay. Pour the water in, and it goes seepy through, and it cleans your water. I mean, I've already got a zero water filter, but it only lasts about 3 weeks to a month where I live because the water's so bad. So if I put it through there first, then put it in the zero water filter, I do rainwater, being a tight-fisted Yeah. Yeah. So that's the way I'm doing it. So I went in there and I said, "Okay, darling," and they got all this soft music, bing, 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 in there. Nice it is. Yeah.
Tinkly music.
Yeah, it's all tinkly. Yeah.
Take care, Stig. Drive safe.
Okay, good people. Need to get going. Didn't you go before you flushed?
Before he came.
Should have done. Yes. Excellent. So thanks. Oh yes, because it's what's the time? It's 9:30 in the morning, isn't it, in New Zealand?
It is tomorrow morning. Yes. He's in the
tomorrow.
future. He's a time traveller.
Yes, it's interesting that, and I know they've
the lottery numbers, but he never does.
But do you think though that what do you think of those Tesla machines? Have you heard of them? Where Tesla, apparently there was in the 1900s, I think it was. I could be wrong. Where they wanted to contact. They wanted to Nikola Tesla. Yeah, not talking about those crappy battery cars that come home to a real. Was it come home to a real fire? Yes, via Tesla. I'll be straight here. I hate battery cars with a passion. I loathe them. You as well. Yeah, but do you think all that's electromagnetic round you?
Yeah.
And I mean, I almost got run over by one in home-based car park. I was walking along,
Yeah, you
and
can't hear 'em.
I looked round. There's a bleeding bonnet of a car there. Luckily, they saw me, but I just
I also don't like. I've my friend's got one. Well, her and her husband have got one each, and we went out in it. They'd only just got him. He'd been driving his more than she'd been driving hers. So when we went out, we had a good 20-mile journey to go to get to the coast, and Lincolnshire roads don't have paths. When you're out in the country, it's
That's
a bit
right.
of grass and the dike.
Hmm.
And it kept, if she went anywhere near the edge, just slightly, it yanks you back into the middle. It's a wonder I didn't have whiplash. It's absolutely ridiculous.
And also,
And then near the middle, it yanks you back to the edge.
I remember you saying, and also, if you're running out of power, it takes you about 6 hours to charge the bastard up, doesn't it?
Yeah,
That's if you're lucky to find a charging point, which is going to cost you a fortune.
This is what I can never understand about supermarkets. People leave their cars on charge. How long are you going to be in the bloody supermarket? 20 minutes maximum, me.
Yeah. And you see them in their cars.
Really big shop.
You see them nodding off to sleep in their cars, waiting for the bleeding thing to fill up. It's bonkers. I think the French have got the best idea, and that is they tow a trailer with the batteries in it behind the car, and then they take it in and exchange the trailer around. It's
bloody pointless.
You know, it's beyond me. But anyway, I was going to say, back to the Tesla. There was a race between Tesla and his rival. I can't remember what the bleeding his name was. His rival electrocuted an elephant, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
Can't think of his name. Anyway,
somebody will remember.
They wanted to speak to the dead, and you can actually make this thing. There's people on YouTube that if you tap in, I don't know, Tesla's speaking to the dead or something like that on YouTube, you'll find loads of people's made it. That's right. Now, I was interested, but I wouldn't make one. And the reason I wouldn't make one is I do not believe in meddling in things that could welcome in evil spirits, because I do believe that evil spirits exist. And that is probably a doorway.
Edison, James, thank you.
Thanks, mate. Thanks a lot. Thanks, James.
That was in my mind and I couldn't get it. Yeah.
Edison, yeah. And I think that it is fascinating, and I'd be tempted, but unless I have someone who knows exactly how to bar it, I am frightened of anything nasty getting in.
Me and my friend Lucy last January did a ghost hunt at an old workhouse. It's the Thackeray Medical Museum in Leeds now, but it was the old workhouse, and we did a ghost hunt there as part of a group. We paid part of a group, and we all got given different things to work with, and one of those was a ghost box. But we knew how to protect ourselves and before we started and close it down when we'd finished. But they do come out with some really random stuff, but they also come out with some stuff to do with what you're asking, like questions that you're asking. It was quite good actually, but yeah, I know what you mean about not wanting to get involved in that kind of thing. Ouija boards and things, isn't it? Unless you know what you're doing.
Meddling in things that because I believe I've seen people that have been possessed by something evil.
Yeah,
it ain't nice, and that's why I'm very careful. I do believe that these evil entities do definitely exist, and with what happened with John Hamer was quite interesting. When he was I think a teenager or a kid, they had a Ouija board, and it was a benevolent spirit that told him to not mess around with it.
Yeah.
It scared the living daylights out of him, but it did the trick. But I've actually witnessed a seance with some gypsies when I was at school, and it was one of the most terrifying things ever. Have you ever been to a seance at all?
Yeah, I've done a seance, yeah.
Well, this was where they did a chant around a child, and the child got up and screamed his head off. It's terrifying. And they did it with one of the bullies. Load of old rubbish. They laid him down and they stood around him and they did this chant. And he went quiet and then sat bolt upright and and screamed out with blue murder, white as a sheet. And the teacher was interested. The teacher saw it and she says, right, that's enough of that. We won't do any more. And I remember it quite clearly. It really did. It really did terrify me. I mean, I was only about 10 at the time, 11 years old, and Paul said that's what Freemasons get up to with their rituals, etc. Now that's interesting. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, we're crossing paths. Yes, you're right. And Jerry Mo asked me. I like Jerry. I want to get him on the show, but not on YouTube.
The name rings a bell. Remind me.
I did a show with him, and it got banned. I think you can see it on BitChute, but you can't see it on YouTube. And he was going off about the big. I'll spell it incorrectly. Farmer. It should be with a P at the beginning.
Oh yeah.
Yes, and he's got. And I thought, Jerry, please. And that's it. And then suddenly it was taken down by YouTube. But luckily, it's if you look on my BitChute channel, it'll be on there. It's very interesting what you were saying. I'm thinking of getting back on Rumble, because you can say what you want on Rumble. So yeah, but yes, he has been on my show. Yes, twice I think he's been on the show. That's right.
On YouTube? I have to check that out.
Not YouTube. No, he's been banned from YouTube. He's got his own website, and I'm not sure. I think it might be Odyssey or Rumble. I don't know. But if you check out my BitChute channel, you can see Jerry Mowinski on there. And luckily, I got it. I think I got it recorded before it was taken down.
Yeah.
But I got a ban for a week on that. Plus, what was it? I wasn't allowed to eat any toffee apples for a week as well. It is nuts.
It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. But Jerry Mowinski, yes, I know him, and because I've got to even mention his name. It's dangerous, I think, on here. But he, what he said was very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. I can't really go into it unless we're on BitChute or Rumble.
It's always the ones that have got something good to say that get shut down.
That's right. And it's a really good show that he did. He really knows his stuff. You know?
I like people like that.
Oh, yes. I like people, even if I disagree with them, that go against the establishment. Even if I disagree with them, I admire their guts.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you who I do 100% agree with, that's Survival Steve. Now, he's got guts.
Yeah.
Because he stood up against the army.
Yeah.
Against all the people in the army. I mean, that's more than guts. That is unbelievable guts.
It is, yeah. Good for him.
I walked around without a face nappy around Tesco's, but that wasn't guts. I mean, and all those big tough blokes against you, that is something.
Yeah.
And also John in Siam.
Our representative in the East.
Our representative, yes, our ambassador. Hello, John. If I haven't heard from him for a couple of weeks, I hope he's all right. But hello, mate, if you're watching. And he refused to wear a mask, and he refused to have and what guts, you as well, and me. And I'll tell you something, I found it quite, I don't know, empowering walking around Tesco's being the only person not wearing a mask.
Getting horrified looks.
Yes, and I tell you, if we have another lockdown, I'd do the same as what I did before. Act deaf. Pardon? Sorry? Can you come a bit closer? I can't hear what you're saying. Yeah. I did it for a laugh. And everybody had to go along follow the arrows. Well, I went the opposite way round. The woman said, excuse me, you can't go that way. Sorry, I can't quite. And she's looking at me and say, bastard, why don't you buy an hearing aid? Pardon? Sorry, I didn't quite get it. You want me to do what? What arrows? What? Pardon? I just get everything she says half about face and wrong. She gave up in the end. I just carried on walking, thinking, deaf old sod, It was bonkers.
Yeah, completely.
But yeah, it
even
really
people
was.
now looking back that would at the time were all for it and everything. Even people now looking back,
yeah,
what did we do? Just goes.
Oh yes, that's right.
Ooh,
James Cole.
I've
What's
got
it?
fighting foxes outside.
Really?
I can hear foxes, yeah. Well, they're either fighting or mating, I'm not sure which.
Well, I tell you what you often get. I tell you what is a spooky sound. It's probably cats when they go, "Meow," and it's a
Yeah.
sort of like a ghostly sound. And that's at 3 o'clock in the bleeding morning. I mean, I mean, why do they have to? I mean, round here it's a fox, badger, and cat knocking shop.
You say I've never seen a badger unless it's been dead. I saw one at the side of the road last weekend, dead.
You don't see because they're nocturnal, I think. But the local council was Broxburn, and their logo is a badger. And where I live, because Brox is an old Saxon word for badgers, there's loads of them. And another one is adders, snakes. I've seen plenty of snake adders. And in fact, I saw one catch a frog when I was a kid. Really? And my dad bashed the snake over the head. Reached the frog. Yeah, he had a bleeding nasty headache, I tell you that.
Yeah, he did.
But no, because frogs scream.
My little Suki, who's tiny compared to a brother who's like the size of a sofa, she's now decided that she wants to hunt. So she came in with quite a large live mouse the other night, and I had to chase her back out.
You know the reason why she's bringing that back? She's trying to teach you how to hunt because she believes
she thinks I'm shit at cooking.
Yeah, she said, "Oh, yeah, these strange humans, they're shit at hunting, aren't they? They don't realise we go to supermarkets to do our hunting, you know."
I don't want those biscuits. Look at this. This is what you could be preparing for me. No, I don't think so.
But no, I looked out the window last year, I think it was, and there was a young, what do you call a young fox? Baby fox? A cub.
Baby fox. It was
Baby
a
fox. Baby fox. It's just
a fox cub, Chris.
Yes, running along the road sort of outside because I live in a cul-de-sac, and it was sort of walking along quite. But perhaps I should.
A few years ago, I'd gone to bed. It was about 1:30 in the morning, and I was laid reading, and I could see the security light coming on through the curtains. I'm like, what the bloody hell's out there that's triggering that? Because it was just coming on and off. So I got up and had a look, and there was the two of the fattest little fox cubs playing hide and seek. One of them was running around the side, and the other one was like looking for it. And then they were rolling and tumbling all over, and we always put it's a butter tub of water out for like anything that's passing. We change it every day. And they kept going over to the water and having a drink, and then they'd start playing again and wrestling. And I must have watched them 3/4 of an hour. And then I heard a little noise. And when I looked down the bottom of the garden by the tree, the mother was stood there and she was calling for him to come back to her. And they sort of both put their heads down and shuffled back, and they all disappeared off down the bottom of the garden.
Amazing.
So she kind of left him in our garden as a bit of a creche. You'll be safe here. Just play there while I go hunt.
They're very intelligent, and see the thing is that if you keep chickens, if you lock them up at night, you're perfectly okay. But the foxes, unfortunately, they will kill all the chickens, but not eat them. They're just
No, I don't understand. I've never understood that.
Well, look at cats; they play with their victims. That's a part I don't like with cats.
Yeah.
Why are they? Why do they do that? I love cats, but there's something about the way they hunt I don't like. It's
yeah.
But apparently,
like cat and mouse, don't they? So.
But do you know the reason why they do that? So that it craps itself. Seriously, so it craps itself, and once it's the crap's out of it, then they kill it, and then they don't have to eat the crap inside the carcass. But it's awful, you know.
Yeah, it is.
But
it's nature, though, isn't it?
But we used to have lizards around here as well, but they've gone now. Don't see lizards. Yeah. They're very common, apparently.
My mum nearly smacked a newt over the head with a coal shovel. We had a massive.
Really?
My dad rebuilt our bungalow when I was a kid, and we had a massive coal bunker down the side under the bathroom window, and it had a big, oh God, what do they call that stuff? And the stuff you used to put on shed roofs, like the tar.
Oh, bitumen.
Bitumen, yeah. It had a lid like that for the coal man to put the thing in, and then he'd done like a sliding thing so my mum could shovel the coal. And she'd gone in to shovel the coal, and there was a newt on top of the coal. It had got in the coal bin. So she nearly hit it with a shovel, but we put it near the pond.
Well, did you know where the saying "pissed as a newt" comes from?
No.
Well, before the Americans got here during World War II, it was something that was unheard of. And a lot of the American Air Force bases were in Norfolk.
Yeah.
And they used to say, as pissed as an Inuit, meaning an Indian.
India.
And the Norfolk people didn't quite get that. And they thought they said, because of the American accents, pissed as a Newt. So it stuck. But it's really, it should be pissed as an Inuit, not pissed as a Newt.
That was the one thing I liked about Portugal, because there's like geckos everywhere, lizards, and you'd put a light on in the outside. Obviously, they had a lot of one of the apartment blocks we stayed in had the automatic lights that came on, because you walked through like a little tunnel with everybody's doors off it, and when the automatic light came on, they all went oof like that, but they were all over the walls.
But aren't we lucky that lizards and animals like that are fearful of us?
Yeah.
And there was some professors talking. They reckon that the reason Europe had the first industrial revolution is because we could domesticate the animals, whereas in Africa there's very few animals you can domesticate.
Yeah.
That might be. I mean, we domesticated a horse. I mean, what they got in Africa, zebras. They're bloody aggressive.
Yeah. They're a bit temperamental.
Very temperamental, and things like that. What is it? Watch out for those lizards, Chris. Yes. Now, what's this one? This is one interesting from Aunt Sally. I think the foxes kill all the chickens with the intention of coming back later and retrieving them one at a time.
Yeah, possibly.
Maybe. Don't know.
You think they'd just kill one and take it, though, wouldn't you? Just because they've done it.
But have you ever trodden in fox poo? Oh my God, the stench.
I once fell in fox poo.
Oh my, oh no, oh, well.
That was an interesting drive home.
Well, I actually trod in some, got in my car, and it was midwinter. I had to keep the windows open because the stench was so bad. Next day, the door almost opened on its own. I mean,
Oh, God, yeah.
I had to disinfect the carpet all over the pedal because I tried to wipe it off on the grass, but you don't do it very thoroughly, you know.
No.
But I'll tell you a weird thing. The lady next door, now I've got a front garden, she's got a front garden. The cats crap on her garden. They never crap on my garden.
That's weird. You might have a connection to cats. I think he's all right and won't bother shitting on his garden.
Right. And it's like the birds, I actually tell them to not shit on my washing when I got the washing out, and they don't. Because that's the deal. Because I've got a deal, you see, with birds. I feed the birds if they go and shit on my other neighbour's car. And they do a very good job of it. They shit all over the windscreen as well.
Dogs have a really weird habit of rolling in fox poo.
Yes.
I don't know what that's about. My dogs sometimes roll in fox poo, and it's really hard to get rid of the smell, even after a good bath.
Yeah.
Oh, Sally, I feel your pain.
Yes. Yes, it's strange that, isn't it? Yeah. Chris marks his own territory.
Goes around his garden, weeing in the corners.
Well, have you ever smelt hypoi oil? It's what you put in car gear. It's called hypoi oil. It's what you put in car gearboxes.
No.
Well, many years ago, I used to like working on cars. You see, I used to do it at the weekends, and I was always up to my neck in shit. And I was helping my mate with his gearbox of his car, and this hypoi oil, once you get it on your skin, you can't get the smell away. You wash and wash and wash, and we had to go to a tramps disco that night.
Oh yeah.
I didn't like discos very much, and you see, and we're all covered in shit. We just finished the car in time, you see, so we decided, well, we ain't got time to have a bath or washer. Let's go as we are. So I had a sun hat with all sort of oil and shit all over it to keep, because I did have hair in those days, because I had hair down to my shoulders to keep the shit off. And we turned up, and my girlfriend went, at the time, she went, it was very realistic. Oh, yes. And then we went, bloody hell.
Yeah.
That was the end of that relationship.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Paul says I went to our local tropical pet shop, and the owner was having issues with one of the lizards that was kicking off. I said to him, call Boy George, he can calm a chameleon. Nice one. I like it.
What's that? That's not nice, Eric. It's shocking, yes. Well, it was a bit whiffy, you know. Yes, and the end of another relationship, as you know, I'm a non-dancer. I do not dance. I was dragged along to dancing lessons. and and she
Me
said,
too, I think.
dancing with me is like dancing with a tank that's got a dodgy gearbox.
Yes.
I sort of. No, I'm a non-dance. You see, I come up from a long line of non-dancers.
So your ancestry.
I like that one. Comedian. Oh dear.
That was brilliant.
Now, this is interesting. Was it? Apparently, dogs do it as a scent camouflage to mask their own smell.
No,
So
I have known some whiffy dogs. I've got a whiffy cat. Well, actually, it's not a whiffy cat that visits. He's the whiffy cat that visits. That's the kitten's dad.
Really,
God, he
really
smells. Yeah,
funny, that isn't it?
he's the size of the sofa, but he doesn't
Bloody
pee
hell.
anywhere in the house. He's the perfect house guest. The kittens go up to him and kiss him when he comes. Well, she's coming round to him a bit now. She
Yeah.
used to kiss his face, but they both go and kiss him and whatever. And he comes and plays with the toys, and he has some little treats, and he has some food, and then he buggers off out. But he's filthy. I don't think he has a home, but he's quite welcome here because he's no trouble at all.
That's interesting because you know when they claw your legs. Ha! Well, I thought it was. Somebody said it's because they love you. They're getting a bit randy. I don't know. I mean,
No.
or is it they just don't realise that we've got skin that's like tissue paper compared to
That's what
theirs?
I don't think
Yeah.
they realise that.
But
Oh,
there was-
Paul's on the roll tonight. I think you should be signing up to be a comedian. I also noticed in the Beautiful Pet Shop they had a lizard watching the CCTV. Apparently, it was a monitor lizard. Sort of jokes.
I still can't get over that Jonathan Ross one though. When he came out with it, I was trying to, I was biting my lip almost. That's a classic, that one. Oh, the rank organisation. That sounded as Jonathan Ross. By the way, what's happened to Jonathan Ross recently? I don't
know,
see
I
him.
don't care, to be fair.
And his brother, was it Paul Ross?
Paul
I don't
Ross.
really. Yes, Paul Ross. But
No, I don't
I don't
like.
like him. I don't like him. No, he was
The
on
only
everything.
The only dad joke I've got is a skeleton walks into a pub and says, "I'll have a pint of lager and a mop."
Hang on, what is it? A
A
Say that one again.
skeleton walks into a pub and says, "I'll have a pint of lager and a mop."
Pint of lager. If I'm a bit thick, pint of lager
Yeah.
and a lot.
Well, what happens when he drinks it?
Oh, I got it. You see, you must excuse me. I'm a bit thick. I got it now.
Yeah, that's
Well-
my best offering, I'm afraid.
It's like now I've got one. No, I'm going to reserve that one about the ducks. Yeah. But sorry, what's this coming up here? Oh, I've got a load of messages coming up here. What's this?
Slower than a lead balloon.
Well, a bit slow tonight,
Oh, dear, oh dear, Chris, you're gonna have to get on your game, mate.
Now, yes, I did bucket and mop. Yes, yeah, I like that one, But well, I told the one about the psychiatrist joke, didn't I? Bloke walks into a pub and he says, "Pint of Guinness, please." So certainly. Pulls a pint of Guinness, gets up on the bar, unzips his flies, gets the old fella out. He starts piddling over it everywhere. People go, "Oh, bloody hell!" Have you heard that one? Have you heard that? No. Anyway, he's going, "Oh, Christ!" So Barman said, "What the bleeding hell's happening?" He said, "Oh," he said, "I'm terribly sorry." He said, "It keeps happening." He said, "I'm seeing the psychiatrist tomorrow." He said, he said, "I'm so embarrassed." He said, "I'm so sorry." He said, "I'm very embarrassed about this." He said, "So you should bleed and be, So anyway, about a week goes past. Same bloke walks into the pub. He said, he said, can I? Oh, he said, not you again. He said, no. He said, I've been to the psychiatrist. I'm totally cured now. Oh, he said, that's good. He said, pint of Guinness, please. Pint of Guinness, drinks it down, gets up on the bar, unzips his flies, gets the old fella out, does exactly the same. Barman said, I thought you said you'd been cured. He said, I have. He said, I don't get embarrassed anymore. Old Nathan's come up with one. They have nobody to play with. Oh dear. Yes, I know. It's great. Well, they get in the house by a skeleton key, don't they? Yeah.
That's definitely a dad joke.
Now, I've got a Ken joke here. I said I'd do it at the beginning of the show, but no. I'll see if I get it right now. So, yeah. Duck walks into a pub and says, can I have a pint of beer, please? The bloke says, a talking duck? He said, oh, yes. He said, I'm very dry. I've been in puddles most of the morning. So he says, oh, okay then. He says, what's your name? So he says, I'm Donald, you see. So another duck comes in. He said, I'm very dry. He said, can I have a beer, please? He said, I'm dry as a bone. He said, I was in puddles yesterday. He said, crumbs. Another duck walks in. He says, oh, I'm Donald as well. He said, I'm very, very dry. He said, I was in puddles yesterday as well. And then suddenly another duck walks in and he says, what's your name? Oh, he said, she says, oh, I'm Puddles. It takes a bit of thinking, that one through.
No, don't.
Yeah, it's not all that. Yeah, it's a Ken joke, that one is. So I blame it on Ken. All right, Ken, that's your bleeding joke. Yeah.
That's your fault.
Yeah, it's his fault, yes. And it's sorry I can't mention the Ted joke because it's so so filthy. I mean, most of my joke repertoire is rather blue, rather filthy. What's it? It's more than a bone than a complaint. How about this one? What do you call a magical dog? A labracadabra dog.
Oh, dear me. They're all coming out tonight. All the dad jokes are out tonight.
Yes, they're out tonight. So someone says, well, I won't say something, Ken, yes. So, Ken, to your joke.
Find a better one.
Yes.
Come on then.
Yes. I've been trying to, I did update the Christine Keeler Jags because my uncles, they were in their heyday when there was a Christine Keeler case going in the early 60s. Yeah. And when they had the... Oh, hello, who's that? Who's that? That's
Sabre.
Hello, Sabre. Evening, Sabre. By the way, it's to Sabre. I'm talking catch, you see.
He's not quite sure what that was.
No. But no, what was I talking about? I forgot where I was. Sorry? The cat put me off. Yeah. No, don't worry. Anyway, I come back, whatever it was. And Dathan says, I am a dad and I have an excuse. Oh, well, Matilda's got one.
Go on then.
Hope it's clean. Do you want to say it or shall I?
Two Irish fellas in a pub. Where am I from? One local says other. What school? St Mary's says other. So did I says first. Barman says it's going to be a long night. The Murphy twins are pissed again.
Oh dear.
I like that one.
I've got a crap.
Nuki's got one. We've got to wait for the punchline for this one. What's the easiest way to get the eyes out of potatoes?
I don't know.
We don't know.
No, we wait for the punchline. Come on, punchline, here it comes.
Hello.
Well, when I was at school, we used to say, how do you keep a twat in suspense?
Yeah, walk off.
Just walk off, yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait to I was just trying to find a cracker where the Jag was, I think, wasn't it? Where is it? Where was the
recycling bin?
But it's like two Irishmen sitting in a pub and there's a brothel opposite, you see. And suddenly they're sitting there drinking away. And suddenly a clergyman, a Church of England clergyman, comes along, knocks on the door. As a scantily clad girl comes to the door, she opens it. And he goes, she says, "That's typical of the bloody Church of England, that is. That's typical. Yes, look at that." Oh, hang on. Should we put it on the screen?
Yeah. Put onions in there, cry their eyes out.
Oh, dear. Anyway, these two Irishmen are sitting there, and then suddenly a rabbi comes along. Scantily clad girl opens the door, in he walks. "Oh, isn't that bloody terrible, you know?" And then an imam comes along, and so you know, I think I'd have a big queue of people waiting outside the door to do me into. So, better be careful. Anyway, all these different religions, their clergymen come along, and they say, "Oh, it's terrible, typical, isn't it?" And then suddenly a Catholic priest comes along, and they say, "Oh, isn't he a marvellous priest? One of the poor girls has died, and he's come to give her the last rites." So,
Yes, I can hear the tumbleweed coming.
Yes, and I can hear all these Muslims all very upset, and people from another religion all upset by mentioning their names. No, it wasn't your religion, mate. I just sort of made that up. All right, you know.
Yeah. As a disclaimer.
Yes, disclaimer. Yes, that's right. And who should we blame it on? Ted. Yes, he lives at such and such. He told no. Yeah. Yes, he lives down at Albinton Avenue, 39. But anyway, we're coming to the end of the show now, and it's been the fastest 2 hours.
It has.
There is. Thanks,
We've
Ted,
talked
for
about
coming on.
again.
We have, and we're going to have a rather serious show, aren't we, on Sunday?
Someday.
8 o'clock. We're going to be talking about capital punishment. Should they bring back capital radio to punish people because it's so awful? No.
Yeah.
No, it's I'm trying to get the balance equal. You see, because we won't say who's for and who's against. No, we just keep it like that. I think people already know with me.
Probably.
And we got some of the 50-50s. Now we can get up to 10 people on the show. And I want it really an equal number of for and against. And there's not going to be any time limit. You can speak for however long you want. If someone wants to write something, I'll read it out and be as impartial as I possibly can. For or against, and we'll also be talking about what do we call it? Medieval bungee jumping. That's it. Because you know what medieval bungee jumping is? You actually put a sort of elasticated rope. You use a solid rope and you put it around the neck instead of the legs. You only do it once. I was going to treat. We could have a wit round to have all the cabinet. You know, let them try it out.
Good. Yeah, give it a go.
Yes.
Fun day out.
That's right. I'm probably going to get the knock on the door by the police tomorrow. You know, all your suggestions.
Going medieval, do I have to build a trebuchet?
Oh yes, yeah.
There's quite a few that would fire out of a trebuchet.
Yes, we could do, wouldn't it? Sort of splat. Well, my sister talking about trebuchet. That was what suggested because her neighbour had a bloody great dog. There's a Heinz 57 varieties. They used to come and shit on her front lawn and then go back, you see. And she has a fear of dogs. I used to.
There's a fear of shit.
Well, so I suggested getting a trebuchet and putting it on there and then flicking it back. My brother-in-law said, "Oh yes, UFS, unidentified flying shed." So, oh look at that.
Oh God, Paul's really on one.
Oh, hang on. I switched it on. You switched it on.
I was walking past a building site the other day and noticed an album member standing in a queue outside a small hut. It took him 2 hours to get to the door. He was finally facing his portaloo.
Oh dear. And do you remember that ABBA tune that says, it sounds like they're saying, "I met you outside Tesco's"?
Yeah. Nuki wants to know, how do you listen to the Sunday broadcast?
Right. If you look down below, not to my crutch, but into the description below here, you'll see a link to my Rumble channel. Because I'm on Rumble on Sundays, and you can say naughty words on Rumble like titties and bum. Oh, I said it on YouTube. Oh, and words like that. You see, I would say fart as well. So if you're easily offended, please watch, and you'll be even more offended. And so it's 8:00, and it's on the Eric Von Essex show on Rumble. So if you tune into YouTube, it won't be here. It'll be on Rumble.
Yeah,
And
be on your own.
every week, the software goes tits up on Rumble. So we're going to guess what it is, because sometimes it knocks you out.
Now you tell me.
Of the studio, and all you have to do is just rejoin the studio. I don't know why it does it.
Strange.
It does it to me. It does it to Patrick, who's in America, but it doesn't do it to Hanarak or Paul. So he's a goody.
I want to say, yes, Chris, my views are, and then I'm just going to get cut off.
Yeah, he's a goody. But anyway, look, if you're a bit nervous about coming on the show and you want to write something down, I don't mind reading it out. I'll be as impartial as possible. And for a few fop bobs,
Yeah,
and I'm actually thinking of doing a poll before on my Telegram channel and after on the Telegram channel, and see if it's changed anybody's.
Yes.
Be very, very interesting. It really will be,
It will.
But yes. And did you know, before we go, that treason, Tony Blair altered the Treason Sedition Act, I think it was 1848, in 1979. But what he altered it, he changed it from hanging to life imprisonment. But it is null and void. Seriously, you can't to life imprisonment.
All right.
And it's null and void. It's null and void what he did. So there it is. You see. Anyway,
yes.
We better. It's fantastic to get you back.
We better rumble.
We better rumble. So remember, 8:00 on Rumble, and I may be a guest. I don't know whether the show's going ahead or not. This Thursday on the Paul English show, so I may be on there as well. Be part of the team.
He gets about, does that, Chris?
Sorry.
I said he gets about. Does that Eric gets about?
I certainly do. Yes, and so please join us next Sunday, 8:00 on Rumble. Remember, on Rumble, and I bet you're going to have people saying, "Oh, I've looked onto YouTube. I didn't see you on there." What's this? What's this?
I went to a zoo on Friday and noticed a cob in one cage, and the next was a baguette. I asked the zookeeper what they were, and he said they were bred in captivity. I think we told us some salt nicely. Emoji.
That's a classic, isn't it? So whilst I'm going to line up the flop,
the outro,
the intro, and the outro.
Sorry if I missed the comments. I was miles away.
That's okay. Do you remember that? I think they also have a modern version, Bonzo Dog Doodah Band, the intro and the outro.
That, yeah.
Yes. I think that was, and it was, what was it? Casanova on the horn. Do you remember that? And it has all double meaning that they did on it. It's very clever. Very clever. Anyway, thanks for coming on, Deb. And you can and by the way, and people say on Rumble, we can't see you. That's because it's radio, you see, on Rumble. And we have video on Monday. So I'll answer the questions first. We won't find us on YouTube on Sunday. We'll be on Rumble. And thank you for the show, Chris and Deb, and to the chat. Thank you very much. And if you're a good girl, Sally, I might have some lavender for you.
Oh, now then.
Now. Yes, I'm going to Miles probably on Wednesday to top up on some tablets, and
get his drugs.
I'm on drugs, man. I'm on tablets, man. I'm on vitamin C, it freaks me out. Anyway, Deb, thanks for coming on. And anything you want to? Well, it's always a pleasure to have you on. More than welcome. Anything you want to say to anybody in chat? Thank you, everybody in chat.
Yes, thank you.
Whatever happens, sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you then. Whatever happens, have a bloody good laugh and good night.
Good night, all.